Welcome back to Inside Politics. We're talking mayoral politics with the runoff election for mayor set for this coming Thursday, September 12th. Yihyun of the TENNESSEAN is with us. She's been covering the race along with Tony Gonzalez of WPLN Nashville Public Radio. In the general election on August 1st, John Cooper came out with a 10-point lead over David Briley, 35 to 25%. Now, both were short of the 50% majority needed, but what's changed much in the last 5 days? Obviously, I think, Tony, the tactics, at least from the mayor, has changed. He's the challenger now, not the incumbent, not the favorite.
Right. I haven't seen John Cooper change his message, per se. I think it's been pretty consistent. But yeah, David Briley has made several changes. He's been much more aggressive in the forums and debates and in interviews. He is attacking essentially John Cooper's facts or ideas. He's also bringing in national politics. We talked a little bit about that with the immigration. And the other thing I've noticed from Mayor Briley is he's talking more about his entire history in Nashville. I think in the first part of the election, he was talking just about the last 18 months and what he has done in office. I think we've both seen that he's now talking about some of his prior efforts as an attorney and emphasizing that he's been in sort of civically engaged for 22 years is now, he's talking about 22 years instead of 18 months.
John Cooper was the last candidate to get into the race, usually coming in late, it's a handicap, but he could and has self-funded most of his campaign. We're not sure what he's done in the runoff because there have been no disclosures about that. Yihyun, did it turn out that Cooper's ability to self-finance was the critical way that he was able to run, because the other two candidates in the race, John Ray Clemens and Carol Swain, were sort of limited in how much money they could raise and spend?
Yeah, I think Cooper, hit kind of the jackpot with having the money and also having the winning message, right? And so this is a message that has resonated very well among, all, corners of the county, that, residents are being left behind in, the prosperous growth. And so I think, like Tony had said, he's really stayed on message, and I think that was a smart move for him. He's not really taking the bait from Briley and just continuing to make sure he resonates on that.
And Tony, Mayor Briley took over under difficult circumstances with the resignation of Mayor Barry, but he's also had some problems while he's been in office. There was the canceled Metro employee pay raise because of a lack of funds, the cherry tree removal down on the riverfront for the NFL draft, and we talked about the parking system and also about trying to sell the downtown energy system. It seemed like he kind of had one issue after another. Yeah,
and there's also the Church Street Park. The idea of turning that into a skyscraper, which is still controversial. Yeah, and I think as part of the employee pay raises was also this argument 2 years in a row about whether to raise the property tax. So I think you look across, that's a half dozen policies or proposals, all that met resistance. It has not been
so being an incumbent easy, was not usually being an incumbent is a big help. In this case, maybe not so much.
I would agree with that, although again, in the run up to the general election, Briley was trying to run on his track record. Like, despite some of these proposals being controversial, he kept listing the things he had done in 18 months. It doesn't look like it was that effective based on the August 1st result.
Yihyun, another thing that happened while John Cooper could self-finance after the August election, it appeared some of Mayor Briley's money went away. People that had been supporting him suddenly showed up to be Cooper supporters. So there's never been an incumbent Metro mayor defeated for election. Did it look like after it was over, people started getting off his train in August?
I think so. I think we saw a few individuals who are now kind of hedging their bets after, fully supporting an incumbent mayor and kind of maybe, for their... Yeah, I think they saw them, trying to balance who they would vote for. And, I saw, a bit of the disclosure this morning, and, all I saw was, Cooper's, and I did see that he's been able to raise $600,000 since, the general election, which is the most money he's been able to raise so far. So I think it's a great indicator to show that, yeah, people are now know that they need to be backing Cooper or should be backing Cooper.
Now, Tony, Mayor Briley, first, do you think there was serious consideration of him not contesting the runoff? There was talk about that, particularly among his supporters. Did that really ever be seriously considered?
There was talk about it on election night and maybe the next day or so. I never heard anything particularly convincing that the mayor was considering not contesting that.
He said he was going to fight like hell. What did that turn out to be, other than the things we've talked about?
Well, I think in those very next days, you saw some pretty fiery statements. And
the BS statement.
Sure.
We won't say what the full word is, but that's what he did use, including in a news release.
But then even shortly thereafter, on the debate stage, you hear Briley saying that Cooper talks out of both sides of his mouth, using the word misled or don't believe or don't trust. his language has been a lot more aggressive the last few weeks.
He has made an effort, I think, to try to appeal and bring out the LGBT community, which he's been very supportive of. He had one TV ad he has on has been Abby Rubenfeld, who's been a gay rights attorney in town. The local Out and About publication has endorsed him. Is that helping to move a vote that seems to be growing, but nobody quite knows what the size of that is in the community?
I'm not sure I have a good sense of that yet. I think, we really won't know until the election results come in next Thursday.
What do you think the size of the vote's going to be? It looks like the early voting is going to be about what it was before, at about 48,000, maybe 50 if we get a last-minute rush. Again, 100,000 votes, which is about what Mayor Briley's grandfather got back in the 70s, back when the electorate was a lot smaller. We're going to elect the mayor with maybe less than 25% of voters coming in?
I think that is probably likely. Turnout is not great in Nashville or across Tennessee. I do see that the turnout so far for the runoff is comparable, if not, it's actually a little bit up so far during early voting by a little bit. Of course, we don't know if more people are going to early vote or come out on election day, but yeah, we're looking at about 100,000 voters again, that's been par for the course lately.
Tony, thank you very much for coming in. Yihyun, thank you as well.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics. I'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.